What's up, everybody? This is Peter again for Sports Hot Rumors and Debates. How are you guys? Guys, I want to talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks, my favorite team in the whole world. And this needs to be kind of understood because we are getting very close to start of spring training. And the Diamondbacks have not signed the most crucial part, and that's a hitter, all right, and a DH. So I've been saying this, and people who, I've been going back and forth. I've been on Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it, for about 4 months now saying, if we don't get JD, who's my favorite, I would love him. For some reason, the Diamondbacks just clearly don't want this guy. Either he did something to them or they don't like him because, in my mind, what the hell are you not re-signing a guy when he hit almost 29 home runs for you in 64 games? You understand what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And sure enough, the Red Sox won right after that when he left to Boston. Anyway, so since we're not going to sign JD, which I still hope we do, I know Soler was out there, but what I was saying, right, is that we need a lefty power guy. And there's not many out there, but I was telling you that we need Joc Pedersen. Now, people some people don't get why. Some people say, oh, we need righties. We got our righties already. Gurriel re-signed, and then Suarez, right? Suarez is a power righty. Yes, he strikes out, but he'll be the guy who it's going to be better than Longoria because he's going to hit about 30 home runs to 35 over in Arizona. Yeah, he'll probably bat 240 to 250. That's being generous. But I'll take the 35, 40 home runs if he can get up all the way to there because he's back to Arizona, Seattle is a brutal ballpark to hit in. Ask Teoscar Hernandez. So that's fine. We're great with Suarez and he's cheap. But we need a left. Tell me who our lefty power guys are. Okay, so we got Cattell. He's a switch hitter, but he's not a lefty, right? And then we have Corbin Carroll, who's the best one that we have. And then what? Tell me, where is our lefty coming from? Alec Thomas, he's not a power guy. He'll bat 240, maybe hit 12 to 15 home runs. That's it. Hopefully he does better than he did the last few years because he did really good in the playoffs. But again, we're not going to depend on that. Where's the lefty coming from? It would have been Jake McCarthy, but you can't trust Jake anymore because I don't know what happened to him last year. It could very well be that Jake bounces back because he was injured in the beginning of last year, and maybe he was chasing. But again, we're not going to trust that. Okay? So that's another one that I can't, excuse me. Anyway, that's another one that I can't figure out because McCarthy is just like one of those guys who I really thought was going to be outstanding. So, okay, no more. Let's not say no McCarthy. So the infield is Walker, right? So then you say Cattell at second. You got Perdomo at short, okay? And you can say Laura if you want. And then you go to third base. You got Suarez. And then you got, if Manuel Rivera makes the team, he has a backup. Catcher, you got my favorite, Moreno, righty, okay? You go to the outfield. You got Alec and Corbin. And then you get Gurriel. We are missing a left-handed power guy. If we do get JD, I'm fine because JD can hit anybody. But if we do not get JD, the only other righty that obviously will allow, thank God we didn't get Hoskins, the only other righty that will is Soler because Soler is a monster power guy. But where I'm saying we need a lefty is that when we play the Dodgers, and if we are going to go to the Dodgers for the division, even though the Dodgers should win the division, even if we're going to go in the playoffs, so we play them in a 3 to 7 game series, you got to remember, they're going to have Glasnow, Walker Buehler, Yamamoto. They have all these tough right-handed pitchers, okay? So what? And then when Ohtani comes back in a couple of years, so they have all these right-handed guys that's going to be really tough for us to play. I haven't even mentioned Bobby Miller or Gonsolin. They have a lot of righties, okay? So what we need to do is have a left-handed power. We can't just have all righties stacked against these guys. And even if you play against San Francisco, right? They have righties. Logan Webb is their ace, This is what I'm saying. Like, we need that lefty guy who puts power in the middle. So if you get Joc Pedersen, who I've been looking for, what I've been asking for, I'll explain why he's really good. Joc played in San Francisco. That ballpark, another one, is where hitters go to die. Unless you're Bonds, right? It's really like almost impossible to hit a bunch of home runs over there. It's just hard. And Joc did really well. Yeah, he struggled a little bit. The year before that, didn't he bat like 270? He's going to go to Arizona. He's going to fit in well. He's still relatively young. He's going to bat you 260, 270, 30 home runs. 60 to 80 RBIs, maybe more if we get the right thing. And he's going to put that power threat in the middle. So then I want to kind of give you a lineup now, okay? If I told you Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, Moreno, Walker, Joc, Suarez, then you're starting to say, oh, shit, that's a good lineup because there's a balance in there. You understand? But if I told you, oh, we're going to get Soler, we have Gurriel, we have Moreno, we have Walker. If I'm telling you all these guys, you're like righty, 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 righty. And it's tough. Suarez, that's 5 righties in a row. You can't have that. You just can't because there's a lot of strikeouts there. You don't want that. You don't want a bunch of swing and misses. You want a power guy from the left. Now, let's talk about if we do sign Joc, we can platoon. Because I know Joc doesn't do well against lefties that much. So we can platoon, right? Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. I ran into somebody I knew. Okay, so now if we get Joc, what we can do is we can platoon into a whole big thing. So think about this. You get Joc Pedersen, okay? You can platoon and you can go to, you sign Adam Duvall or you trade for Harold Ramirez. And I'm all for trading for Harold Ramirez if you do that. I rather Duvall because that is a nasty power switching thing when we play tough lefties. But if we're not, if you did Joc and you traded for a cheap Harold Ramirez at $4 to $5 million a year, we got it. That's what I'm talking about. Because then when we play tough lefties, you throw Harold, he bats 3-something against them, and then if they bring in you switch, you pinch hit, or if we're playing tough righties, you get that, and Harold can come off the bench. Duvall can come off the bench, but that gives you more options. But if we're just gonna stay with Gurriel, Suarez, Walker, we're gonna struggle. Remember, we struggled at hitting this whole year. Okay? We struggled at hitting this whole year. And it was like, where was the hitter coming from? And if you remember in the playoffs, we were trying to bunt. We were trying to do everything we can against Texas to get something going because it wasn't working. We were struggling so much. Meanwhile, Seager and them were just ripping the ball. And it was a shame because if you remember the last few games, it was close. And then at the end, they finally did because we didn't put any pressure on them. But if we put pressure on them, the whole series would have been different. It's just like game 2 when we had pressure, we took the lead on them, they couldn't do it. Game 1, it happened to be Seager's just amazing, and Sewell blew it. But again, what we were leading up into the 9th, we had pressure on them. So we were so close to the World Series, and with lacking a tough thing. But now you're adding, if you add Joc and now you had Suarez, you're adding 60 home runs, 60. Okay, because it will be 30 apiece. I promise you that. Joc will do his job. So that's what we need. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. And don't get me wrong. Once again, I prefer J.D. Martinez just because he loves to hit there, and I know he'll do great, and I know he'll want to beat the Dodgers. But if we don't get J.D. Martinez and he decides to go to the American League, which probably could happen, and then if we don't get Soler, which I know people think I'm crazy. I know Soler can hit 48 home runs. I'm not going to be mad if we get him. Don't get me wrong. But I rather a Joc platoon with somebody just because I can see how scary that lefty-righty thing would be, as opposed to I don't want to. Soler goes through those streaky things, and you remember he batted 190 one year. You know what I mean? Like he can go through it. I'm not saying he would do that in Arizona, but he is streaky. 1 year's 40-something home runs. The next year you don't know what's going on with him. So I think if you get Joc, he's consistent, and I'm telling you, he played in tough ballparks, man. It's tough ballpark. It's tough to hit in San Francisco. There was no protection in that lineup. It wasn't the same. He's going to do really well in Arizona. All right, let me know what you guys think.